Welcome to Automotive World, everyone. I'm your host, Vinay Mystery, and tonight we are going to get into what is actually our top story soon to be. We're going to see the new 4Runner coming out soon at about 10:15 Eastern time. We're going to try to do a live stream, but if not, I'll be doing live updates on Twitter, and you'll shortly see a video after, and we're going to talk about it. We'll see what they give us. But I just wanted to do one last video, because yesterday I kind of just focused a little bit more on the trail sport and what I thought the good and bad parts would be. I wanted to just kind of go in and actually do a deep dive. This is going to be a long video. Go on Toyota, on Toyota.com, and just kind of take a look one more time and see maybe if we can take some predictions and just find out anything else. But before we do that, we do have one more little teaser from Toyota. I'm going to be honest, this one's not really that special. Here it is right here. All they pretty much did was show people at Toyota and corporate and things. They showed them the new 4Runner.
Dude, this is freaking
Here's
sick.
the reactions.
This is sick. Yeah, this is exactly what I want.
So, just from this picture alone, obviously you can see a new color. We can sort of see some more stuff on the top there. When we pause at 2 at the end, or at the beginning, let's see if I can pause
it. This is freaking sick.
So we see some, we see a little bit of,
exactly
door kind of trim and things like that. We can obviously see the headlight design here, which this is going to confirm, obviously, the new style of styling that Toyota has gone to, which started off with Tundra, led to Sequoia, and then obviously that went to Tacoma, and now it's coming to 4Runner. We can see kind of that squared off headlight that they have. So we know that that's, we don't have the official picture of it yet, but obviously we can now look at other renders and we can see like, hey, we can kind of confirm some things there. In terms of this picture right here, or this part of the video, so obviously, we have our little sun visor and things here. Clearly, we do have some buttons up there. Clearly, we do have some overhead lights. Obviously, I don't think this is probably going to be a TRD Pro trim that they're showing off. It might be because it is a darker color, and the TRD Pro would get an exclusive color, and they do have a color like that on 4Runner. Clearly, there are some buttons on here. Not too many from the looks of it, but there's clearly a few indications of some space where there is some sort of buttons or latches or some sort of levers and things. This kind of here looks like a circular, kind of like maybe like a rotary dial. The reason I don't say it's a TRD is because obviously, I don't really see like any A-track buttons or anything up there, but then again, I can't really tell. And it looks like obviously we have two dome lights here. This button here would probably be for some sort of obviously a sunroof more than likely. If we zoom out there, let's see what we can do on the rest of this video.
I love the blue.
This is going to be my dad car.
Alright, so obviously that lady saying she loved the blue color.
Sick.
Obviously you can see from the inside and the outside of this car. This one is clearly not blue,
exactly
so clearly they showed them multiple vehicles. Because obviously clearly that is not blue.
Sweet.
This is awesome. I love the blue.
This is going to be my dad car.
There also could be some blue trims or something, but we don't necessarily have that. We couldn't see that. But we do know that we have one more final little teaser. We are just going to go to Toyota Newsroom real quick. Just because, we know that they're not going to put anything out yet. But let's look one more time. Let's see if we can find anything. This is all the same. We go back to first product page for 4Runner. This is all the same as well. So let's go to our Toyota website here. Let's go to the Toyota website here. Excuse me, sorry for sounding a little sick. So here's our Tacoma right here, right? Now we have reasonable suspicion to believe that this is going to be a lot more closely related to Tacoma than previous generations. Previous generations were also, they had some similarities with Tacoma, but obviously the biggest thing is that previous generation Tacoma went away from that older V6 that the 4Runner was using, being the 4-liter, and it went to that 3.5. The 4Runner stayed with the 4-liter. Obviously, being 4Runner being built in Japan and things, and the Tacoma being built elsewhere. Obviously, production-wise for factories and things, logistics-wise, it's extremely hard to just ship, start making an engine in a certain factory when they're not used to it. So obviously, there were logistical reasons, and when you look back at it, there were reasons why Toyota could not do that with the 4Runner, but there were also, if they really wanted to, they could have. But it's very reasonable to think that we can't confirm anything. So we believe that it's going to be very closely related to Tacoma. But we really can't confirm anything. When it comes to the engines, obviously we know with Tacoma, there's 2 engines. Technically there's 3 because one is a detuned power output, 2 of them being the 4-cylinder turbo, and then you have that 4-cylinder turbo hybrid. With the Tacoma here, I bring up price again like I did yesterday. So we have basic SR Tacomas starting at $31,500. That, again, keep in mind, is with that 4-cylinder turbo. That is going to be the detuned engine. It's at 228 horsepower and about 240 so pound-feet of torque, 243. So not too powerful, but not necessarily. I mean, I guess in a truck you'd call it underwhelming. It's very close to kind of, you know, power you would get in a Jetta GLI or even a BRZ in terms of horsepower. The Jetta GLI would obviously be closer in terms of the torque rating. You could even say close to kind of what you'd get in a Golf GTI, but not necessarily there. I bring up pricing those because we have, like I said, the SR with that detuned engine is going to start at $31,500. This is really cool. This is really nice. It's an affordable trim. We go up to limited because that's all we have right now. We don't have the Trail Hunter to come out yet. We don't have the TRD Pro to come out yet. Nor do we have the TRD Sport and Off-Road or Limited models with the iForce Max that we know we're going to get because that powertrain just isn't being shipped yet. 278 horsepower, 317 pound-feet of torque. That is a standard 2.4-liter turbo drive engine. That in the Limited is already 52.1. When that iForce Max comes out, this is going to be closer to 60. 100%. If it's not 60, that's closer to 60. The Trail Hunter and TRD Pro are definitely going over 60. Trail Hunter with iForce Max is probably going to be at least like 65-ish. And honestly, I wouldn't expect to see... I wouldn't be surprised if I saw the TRD Pro even pushing 70 and up. So I bring that up because the Tacoma is in a bit of a weird... It's in such a weird place because it's... You have a trim that is very inexpensive and affordable for essentially kind of what it is, even in a detuned version. But then you have trims that we know, especially with that iForce Max, because it is a lot of money, we know they're going to push money. You know, we know they're going to push in the 60s, 70s. So with the 4Runner, because the 4Runner starts right now at 40, right? 47. So let's say starts at 41. Okay. This is this is a new, obviously this is an all new generation, right? All new engine, all of that. So is it possible that we can get a cheaper trim than 40? Absolutely. In fact, I think we do need to get a cheaper trim than 40. I don't think, like I said yesterday, I don't think we're going to 31.5. I don't think so. But even with that detuned engine, if we could get to 35, 37, maybe even 37.5, 38, it's not bad because it's just, the problem is that we know that this is an all-new generation. It's an all-new engine, it's an all-new body, it's an all-new transmission, it's all-new everything. This is going to cost them money. We know that these trims, you know, everything the prices are here right now, they're probably going to go up or they're going to stay in that same range. But that's, we don't know because we don't know what engines we're going to get. It's very, like, when we look at the pricing of the Tacoma, we saw that upper echelon pricing with the iForce Max. Let's be honest. We know that we're probably not going to, if we get an iForce Max, if we even get the iForce Max, they're not going to offer it on an SR5. They're not going to offer it on a TRD Sport, probably. Maybe, but probably not. I don't think they'll even do it on the premium. Maybe if we're lucky, we might get it on TRD Off-Road and Off-Road Premium, because we have to remember, too, that Trail Hunter trim is coming. So that Trail Hunter trim is going to slot in between TRD Pro and Limited, because TRD Pro, we have to remember, is like, it's the off-roading trim, you know. That's the one you're going mudding, you know, you're going to Moab, you're going over rocks and all that kind of stuff. Our Trail Hunter trim, it's trail hunting, it's overlanding, it's still off-roading, but you're not necessarily like going over rocks and boulders and things like that. This is more so for, you know, just kind of going into the off-road, being able to have a tent and things like that. You know, this isn't really for, you know, that's for overlanding is really more of the camping side, versus where, you know, our TRD side is really more of the grunt, you know, get down dirty, take some hits and like have that type of fun. So we know here that TRD Pro I expected to go up, and then obviously with Trail Hunter, that's going to slide in between here. So we don't have any official pricing. We don't have official engines, but I say TRD Pro is at least going to be like in the 60s. I think so. I think Trail Hunter is going to be in the 50 slot here. My problem is that, like I said, because we know with iForce Max, Toyota is only going to offer them on the upper trims. They're doing it with Tacoma. They've done it with Tundra. The only exception has been Sequoia, and that is because Sequoia is already like a $61,000 starting vehicle. So if we get an iForce Max engine, assuming we even use the same engines that Tacoma has right now, if we get an iForce Max in 4Runner, the fact that 4Runner is already going to start here, and like I said, generally, can they do it with a detuned engine, make it a little bit cheaper? Yeah, they could, but let's also be honest too. This is an older generation, so they're spending a lot of money. There's not really a lot of wiggle room, like I said, because this model has been out for essentially 10 years. There's not really a lot of wiggle room for them to kind of, you know, have it depreciate and settle a little bit. What scares me is the price bracket. Because like I said, we're already here at a TRD Pro. And yes, there's valid use cases for buying a TRD Pro 4Runner over a Land Cruiser or a Sequoia. You know, out of the box, it's better. You're, you know, obviously having an SUV, not having the pickup truck bed, you know. You're going to have slightly better approach and, you know, breakover angles and things like that. So I'm not saying that, you know, if this vehicle is more expensive than a base model Land Cruiser or something, people aren't going to buy it. Because there are going to be people who buy it. You know, I'm sure there are going to be. Toyota knows their community. That's the whole reason they added Trail Hunter. Because so many people have used TRD Pros for overlanding, you know. Toyota realized that. It's not just a rock climbing vehicle. And that's what people want. You know, they want an SUV that can fit passengers comfortably, body on frame, with trunk space, can do some towing. So Toyota realized that. But it just kind of... It just scares me to see what the pricing, if we get that iForce Max, is going to be. Because it's like at that point then, you know, like I said it yesterday, a lot of people buy these vehicles and they don't actually ever take it off-road. They don't. I'm not dissing any of the people who do it off-road. If you do buy a TRD Pro and take it off-road, thank you, because you're doing what the vehicle is supposed to do. But let me tell you something, guys. I live here in Florida. I've lived various parts in Florida. Orlando, Sarasota, everywhere. You don't know how many times I see Broncos and TRDs, and even in my neighborhood, they never go off-road. They're clean as a whip. There's never even a speck of dirt. Like, they're still, like, they're shiny. It's, you know, it just scares me to think, where are we going to go with the iForce Max? Because, like, that's at 55. Let's say it goes to 60, right, at the minimum. Let's go to the SUVs. So starting wise, Land Cruiser is going to start at 55. Now, like I said, are there legitimate reasons to buy a TRD Pro 4Runner over a base model Land Cruiser? Absolutely. Absolutely there are. But for a lot of people, like I said, a lot of people are going to buy this vehicle because it's going to look cool, and they're never going to take it off-road. And let's be honest, a base model Land Cruiser, yes, this one is obviously, in this trim it's shown here, you know, it looks a little bit more luxurious, you know, with the wheels and things. But the Land Cruiser base model is also a very capable off-roader. And it gets the iForce Max engine. And it's going to be standard. Even a base model trim Land Cruiser is still pretty capable. Is it as capable as a TRD Pro 4Runner currently? Probably not, because, probably the TRD Pro is going to have better alternating tires. The shocks and things are going to be tuned a little bit differently in terms of, the fender and the bumpers. You're going to have better bumpers and things for those better angles and things. But my point is that, like we just saw on here, this is already starting at 55.9. And for a lot of people, they just need maybe a very basic off-roader. The fact that we had the 4Runner in TRD Pro starting at 55, all new generation. If we get iForce Max, it's going to be more expensive. We have seen it across every single range. We saw it in Tundra, it got more expensive than the old one. We saw it in Sequoia, where it comes standard. We saw it in Tacoma. In fact, actually, we haven't seen it in Tacoma. But that's the scary part, is that we already see where the Tacoma pricing is, like I said, right now, with those regular 2.4 turbos without the hybrid, and we already see the pricing that they're at. So we already know when that hybrid comes out, it's going to be way more. It's going to be in the 60s. It's going to be in the 70s. And that's the part that scares me here. And I know this is kind of what I went on about yesterday. But this is what worries me, because a lot of people are going to buy these 4Runners in these higher end trims. We know if we get that hybrid, or if we even get any sort of multiple engine options, a more powerful one, we know it's going to be in the higher trims. I doubt Toyota is going to do a version where they're going to start, just put a hybrid standard in it, put the iForce Max hybrid standard in here, because that would, just cannibalize the sales of Tacoma and all the other ones, because then people would just buy the 4Runner, For most people, it probably tows more than enough. So they're not going to do that. They're not going to start this vehicle at like 40, 45, and put an iForce Max in there. It's just not going to happen. But the fact that we already have the TRD Pro here at 55, all new generation. Let's say we get iForce Max. That's definitely in the 60s. This right here is pretty much what that was. The other one was 55.5 essentially. This is about maybe $300-400 cheaper. And that's the part that kind of worries me, is that a lot of people might see this, and they might just say, hey, instead of me spending this much money on a 4Runner, even if it's like a limited one or a TRD off-road premium or trail hunter with assuming iForce Max or a higher powered engine, why not just go get a Tundra or a Land Cruiser? Why not? So that's the thing that scares me. Obviously, though, the 4Runner has always been. I love the 4Runners. They've obviously always been more of like a rugged, durable kind of design. They weren't necessarily like the Sequoia is like the family one. That's the one where it's like super nice, luxury, comfortable. The 4Runners have always had that old school kind of grunt to them. The fact that Toyota is doing the Trail Hunter model shows that, hey, they did not forget about their heritage. If anything, they're only expanding it and giving people who use this vehicle a lot, who used to have to do a ton of aftermarket modifications, they won't have to maybe do necessarily as many anymore. But obviously, it just does scare me a little bit, because pricing is going to determine a lot for this vehicle, like it does with every vehicle. But it's also going to determine a little bit of an identity change too. And it's, for a lot of people cross shop Tacoma and 4Runner, for various reasons, because they might just want something that's body on frame, or they want a smaller truck or something truck-like. But, maybe they don't need all the space and everything. And it's just, with Tacoma being so, like I said, in the price bracket, with Tacoma being so low, but seeing how high it goes without Trail Hunter being out, without TRD Pro being out, and without even iForce Max being out on a trim that we know it's going to get. We can't confirm, obviously, what kind of engines we're going to see in the 4Runner and all that. If they might show us tonight, they might just show us design. But this is what's going to scare me. Because this is gonna be interesting. Because like I said, we're already at 52 without iForce Max. Think about it. Just think about that for a second. When iForce Max comes to the limited trim, guys, that's going to be like a 56, probably 55, 56, 57. That means when iForce Max comes to the limited trim, that vehicle is going to be more expensive MSRP wise than a base model Land Cruiser. Just kind of think about that for a second. You know, I know the whole Land Cruiser in America, the stigma, you know, it used to be like $100,000 vehicle and it wasn't worth it. But even though I really like the new Land Cruiser too, I think the value on it is nice. But think about that. For the price of a Tacoma, even for the price of a current 4Runner, which we know is going to go higher up because they're adding another trim. Toyota's not just doing this to add another trim to be like, oh, here's some more value for you guys. Like, obviously, they're here to make money, too. So we know that TRD Pro is going to be able to get more expensive and push that 60, maybe even close to 70, because they're going to use that Trail Hunter trim to bridge the gap. Even though it's more for overlanding than it is rock crawling, they're going to use that to bridge the gap. So just think about that. We might have, it's very likely, like I said, and this is all just my predictions. This is me speculating, but it's something very likely we can see because we have seen it trend from the top down in the Toyota truck lineup. We might see a 4Runner. In fact, we pretty much almost do see it already currently, but we're going to probably see a 4Runner that's going to be more expensive than a Land Cruiser. That, just kind of saying that is just a little bit interesting to swallow. But I mean, like I said, I think if I had to make a prediction, not a prediction, if I was a Toyota, kind of like, if I could decide the pricing of this vehicle, I would love to have it started with 31.5, but let's be honest, they cannot have this start at 31.5. They just can't. So, I would personally start this vehicle at, like, if I could, I'd get it down to 35. 37 tops if I could. Because remember, they're going to have that Trail Hunter trim, so they'll be able to, you know, they'll be able to make up that loss because they'll be bridging the gap. The TRD Pro is going to push over 60. We know it's going to push over 60 because, like I said, Trail Hunter is going to bridge that gap. If it was me, though, I would not have the 4Runner in TRD Pro, which is probably going to be the most expensive trim, go over 60. I wouldn't. Or even maybe 65. Because if we go to the Land Cruiser, which starts at 55, it's already got the multi-terrain and things like that standard. When we come to the Land Cruiser, here it's 61. First edition is 74, but when we come to Land Cruiser, here it's 61. Let's build it. You know, we've got the full-time all-wheel drive. We've got, you know, technically it would be not necessarily the best all-terrain tires, but we have some on there. You know, we have the moonroof and things like that. Personally, if it was me, I would try not to put this over 61 where the Land Cruiser is. Because even when we build it, it's about 64. I would say you cannot charge for a 4Runner, and this is going to be way too much still. Because I personally wouldn't pay this much money. But if Toyota had to, you cannot make the 4Runner more than $65,000. $60,000 to $65,000 is the cap. Because if you're going to make it more than that, I'm sorry, I just wouldn't buy a 4Runner. Buy a Land Cruiser, or get even more for your money and buy a Toyota Sequoia. Straight up. Straight up. There's no No debate about it. You're spending that much money already. I mean, I know TRD Pro, Sequoia, and just Sequoia prices in general are generally insane. But let me be completely honest with you. And anybody who's going to buy this type of vehicle, who's spending that type of money, especially if they have the money, you'll understand this. If you're going to spend 65, probably out the door, close to 70 on this vehicle, at this point, for you, another 10 grand is really not that much. It's really not. Promise you it isn't. If you've got, let's say, like 70 grand cash, this is what you, like, to spend another 10 grand and even finance that 10 grand over the loan, like, that's, no. You know what I mean? This isn't like a $20,000 vehicle we're talking about, or somebody looking for an inexpensive vehicle where it's like the difference between 15 and 20 is being priced out of a vehicle. If you're spending this much money, you're good. And if you're going to spend that much money, you're going to spend like 65 or 70, don't do it on a 4Runner. Do it on a Land Cruiser. Do it on a Sequoia. My opinion, I would do it on the Land Cruiser, but if you want TRD Pro, you know, get Sequoia. But that's just kind of my kind of thoughts and predictions on it. There's nothing else we can really find out, honestly, from here. There's no point in me going through the specs on here. This is just a complete... You know, let's be honest. We know really nothing is going to carry over here. Maybe the wheels might carry over, which would be nice because I do like that wheel design. But let's be honest. We know nothing's going to carry over here. We know probably that these, you know, even if they put the Tacoma engine in here, we already know the Tacoma engine has better power, better torque, and it's more fuel efficient than this old school 4-liter V6. So we know that. We can't say with towing, is it going to be up to 5,000 pounds? I would assume Toyota would keep it at least at that. However, we have seen towing go down with the new Tacoma. Then again, Toyota did make valid points, and let's be honest, maybe not, you know, you don't if you have a Tacoma, you don't need to necessarily tow that much. But the fact that they did go down on towing is always a bit interesting. You generally never want to go down on something, especially something like towing in a pickup truck, but it's going to be interesting to see. I would assume they would keep that 5,000 pounds of towing, but it's going to be very interesting to see that. We already know that we saw in the first image when I did the, you know, with the roll down window, we saw a giant touchscreen, just like we saw in Sequoia and Tacoma and all the other models. So we know that we don't have to worry about this 8-inch touchscreen anymore. We know it's gone. Good. It needs to go. We know it's going to have all-wheel drive. We know. But, yeah, I mean, look at this right here. This is going to go. And honestly, I'm not going to miss the screen. I'm going to miss the buttons. I'm going to miss the buttons. And we saw a little bit. We didn't see many buttons down there. Remember, we saw when I did that video, we saw that little circular knob there. We didn't see any of these buttons though. We would have been able to see it. You know, we would have even been able to see some sort of outlines, or even if the vehicle wasn't on, you know, these are, you know, colored in a certain way, we wouldn't be able to see it. So it looks like rest in peace to the buttons, unfortunately. I hope they keep some, but looks like rest in peace there. Obviously, we'll get better Apple CarPlay, Android Auto. I'm sure we'll probably get it wireless. I don't see why we wouldn't. But yeah, it's just gonna be a bit interesting where 4Runner is gonna be. Like I said, I've always been a 4Runner fan. I'm excited about it, so I'm really excited to see what this is gonna be. I really am excited to see the powertrains, because I really honestly hope we do get the same powertrains that Tacoma offers. It's just what worries me is the price. And I honestly, too, Toyota, I would say as well, for a lot of people who are going to buy the 4Runner, this is all the vehicle they need. I would really love to see if we do get that, you know, that Tacoma powertrain set. I would really love to see that iForce Max come to the lower trims. Even if it's a paid option, even if it's a ton of, like, you know, it's a decent amount of money, like, there's no need to gatekeep and put it on the higher trims like that. There's no need to do that. Especially too if you're going to keep this vehicle already at the starting price of $41,000. essentially. Especially with the Tacoma coming in at 31.5. There's no need to gatekeep. There's no need to. And I know that you can do it because you did it with the Land Cruiser, but I would really like to see iForce Max come to 4Runner. Because if that's the case, then even though I'm going to miss the V6, that's going to be a crazy powertrain on a 4Runner. That is going to be a crazy little powertrain. So that's kind of my video here, guys. I really just wanted to show you guys that one last teaser. And then obviously I just kind of wanted to go in and just talk about it, give some more of my thoughts. Not necessarily about Trail Hunter, but just kind of, you know, be able to come in and just really just have a conversation. And like I said, take this all with a grain of salt. This is just my thoughts again. This is just my predictions. Just, you know, being able to look it over a night and see the one last teaser. Like I said, we know we're going to see the design tonight. We don't know if they're going to tell us about options and pricing and powertrain and things like that. We don't know what powertrains are going to be coming. Obviously, everyone in the industry is thinking and saying that, you know, and we believe it's going to be closer to Tacoma, closer related to Tacoma, as also that would help Toyota bring down production costs. But, you know, at the end of the day, there's a huge disclaimer because we really just don't know. But all we can do and all I can do right now until 10:15 Eastern time tonight is we can just talk and have a conversation, and we can just throw out our predictions and hope for the best. So this is going to be the end for this video, guys. This is a long video. I know this was really just a lot of me talking versus anything, but these are kind of little clips, and we'll be doing another. We are working on a podcast right now, so you will be seeing me do a lot more of this with other vehicles as well. If you did enjoy this type of video somehow, please let me know. And like I said, this is meant to be predictions and have a conversation and talk about things. So I would love to hear your guys' opinion as well. So please, you know, let me know what you guys think. I'd love to hear the comments down below. I'll be replying to them as well. And get ready to join us tonight for the new 4Runner reveal, and we're going to try to live stream it, but if not, we will have a video shortly after published. But have a great day, everyone.